sit here and play around with putting pressure through the tip of your big toe versus more of like this under area, that will change how you're applying force through this tissue, right? All stretching and isometrics is learning to funnel tension through force production. Now you are going to use the same setup to perform eccentric loading. Okay, nothing's changing. It's the same base position, but a different training tool within the same base position. This is the base position we're in. I encourage you to play around with different positions like that, right? A little spicier. And then different positions like this. And again, all we're doing is looking for different lines of tissue on the front side of your foot. So now this is where we are kind of layering in the complexity of it, where you are learning to apply even foot pressure. Outer foot pressure, big toe pressure, heel pressure, that kind of tripod effect that everybody talks about. Just because you can push the big toe down doesn't mean it was of quality. Pushing the big toe down with the outer foot dumping up is kind of like fake mobility, just like everybody else fakes their mobility. You know, the body looks for the path of least resistance. I am cueing you to go into the path of most resistance by supinating the foot, maintain toe pressure from here. A little bit different than a standard calf raise. You see how we're going for the intrinsics of the foot. I think that's the emphasis here. I would still want you to do seated calf raises, right? Still want you to do standing calf raises with the knee straight, with the knee bent. But the intrinsics of the foot, I think, is what we're trying to emphasize here. Let's give you a quick rundown on everything you should be doing for your foot, and then you can explore it. And then if you want to elaborate on it next time, we can elaborate on it next time, okay? So we want toe dexterity, basic toe dexterity, big toe extension. Are you able to lift the big toes up without the little toes coming up? And when you lift the big toes up, we want you to correlate big toe extension with a shortening of anterior tissue, right? The same way you flex your hip, you feel your hip flexor. Same way you flex your shoulder, you feel your front delt. When you lift the big toes up, we should be feeling bridge stuff firing. Now do the reverse. Big toe down, little toes up. Now when we do big toe flexion and you push the big toe down, we should feel the arch firing. If you don't feel your arch firing, that's something to work on. Develop that afference, that like mind-muscle connection. And if you feel cramping, we need you working through that. If clients are cramping, we need them working through that. Okay? Are you able now to lift all the toes up and then do big toe flexion only? Yes. And then lift them all up again, and then do just big toe flexion again. So I'm giving you no resistance. I'm giving you an opportunity to kind of explore the movement. I want you now to lift all your toes up and see, can you do like a toe tap with the little toes? And then lift them up. Exactly. Do that again for me. Good. Give me a few more reps of that. So you see how we're looking at essentially individual toe dexterity, the big toe and how it contributes to the arch, as well as how the bridge kind of functions in that way. Now that you understand big toe flexion, big toe extension, little toe taps, can you give me an accordion where you're doing one toe at a time, just the best you can? Right, there's a saying that we don't want perfection to get in the way of progress. If you do this with clients, it's gonna be real funky. You wanna just give them an opportunity to have that like tactile feedback. Just giving you an opportunity to kind of feel the musculature under your foot contribute to that. Let's say you have a client and they don't have big toe extension or flexion. Chances are they are very restricted in their arches. You hear people say they have high arches, they have fallen arches. One part of the foot that's really important is pronation and supination, which is really subtle. So if you were to keep contact with the outer sides of your feet and you do pronation, do you see how if you pronate, that's associated with a bit of internal rotation of the hip? Yeah. And now if you supinate, very subtle, that's a bit of external rotation of the hip. It's a little bit more pronounced when you're standing versus sitting, but when we do pronation and supination, that is where we see the kinetic chain kind of be integrated together. Foot mobility with hip function. Now, if someone doesn't have the ability to do this very subtle motion between pronation and supination, we generally need to lengthen their arch into big toe extension, and then perform static stretching, isometrics, eccentrics, which is what we're gonna do next. So we are going to use this cork to get you into big toe extension. So let's do your left foot first for the sake of the camera being able to see it. It's your bad foot? Good. I want you to work on your bad foot. So we have you in big toe extension right now. Okay, big toe extension and ankle dorsiflexion go hand in hand. Okay, so what I want you doing now is driving your knee forward. You can hold on to this as much as you need. This is just for support, so kick this back a little bit more and drive all the way forward. Hold that position. So right now, as we drive your foot forward, we should be finding that you get a combination of underside toe stretching, arch stretching, and Achilles and calf stretching. If you are not getting length on that, are you getting closing angle on the front side?
A little more pronounced in closing angle
than open side.
Tension than open side.
Okay,
it's starting to build up.
Okay, are you able to let go of your ankle? So when I say that, I mean, can you like down regulate the tension where you're not like tensing the front of your foot as you drive it forward?
Yeah. Now I'm getting open
side. So you see how there's like an element of finding the open angle. So clients a lot of times will drive the knee forward and they'll run into this like closing angle restriction. You need one to cue them. Can they let go of the foot? That tension's gonna like seize up to restrict them because their nervous system's not familiar with that territory. That's one part. Another part is while you're in this position, a little bit of pronation goes a really long way. Did you feel how subtle that was, what we just did?
Yeah.
So go back to supination just a little bit, and then go back to pronation some more. So one thing you can do if a client struggles with big toe extension and pronation of the foot. Let's say someone is stuck in a supinated position. They have a tendency to be stuck in external rotation of the hip. Because every time they walk on the supinated foot, they're walking on an externally rotated hip, and they're never exploring that space in the opposite position. If you don't use it, you lose it. One thing I can do to promote pronation here, not that you need this, but a client might need this, is use a wedge on the outside of the foot. Now the idea is the wedge is supposed to put you in more pronation. Okay, theoretically for some clients that will help them find more dorsiflexion and particularly more open angle length focused stimulus, right? Stretching, isos when we do that in a moment, that kind of thing. You might not need this, but clients may need this. I have a lot of clients that won't get any open angle on their ankle and dorsiflexion here if they do not have a wedge. All right?
Okay.
So you got some length on your Achilles, your calf. We can perform isos here, which is what we want to do. So without losing this end range of dorsiflexion, start driving big toe extension. Or big toe flexion rather, I'm sorry. Start driving big toe flexion. Are you able to find tension in your calf and Achilles when you drive that down?
Yes.
And if there isn't much, like let's say you have a day where there isn't tension or there isn't as much as you want, sit here and let it marinate. Sit here and play around with putting pressure through the tip of your big toe versus more of like this under area. That will change how you're applying force through this tissue, right? All stretching and isometrics is learning to funnel tension through force production. And so the foot is the biggest part of force production because you have to produce force from here for it to go all the way up the kinetic chain. So if we have the inability to produce force through the big toe, through the arch, through the Achilles tendon, which is one of the strongest tendons in your body, doesn't it make sense that we would have a lot of restriction up the chain? All right, so from here, you did pales, you feel the calf Achilles firing at length, right? You've been doing this for like time under tension. Don't move anything. Now you can rail from here if you want, just another training tool. Lift the big toe up by itself and just try to get tension to shift from the opening angle tissue to the closing angle tissue. Are you able to feel bridge tissue fire as you try to extend your big toe off of the cork?
Yes.
You're able to find some tension there, and even if it's a little bit. And if you find a lot, awesome, hold that. Now in a perfect world, I would remove this cork. You would push the little toes down and hold the big toe in extension as best you can. Ready, set, hold. You feel that firing, regressive tissue. Think about running away from my pen here. And then if you had a client, what you could do as well is pull them into some abduction, lift them up into extension, and do a passive range hold, right? If you have a partner assist. 3, 2, 1, hold. Does that make sense what we did there? Pales and rails with passive range holds. Now relax it. Do you want to take a second before we do something else?
No.
No? Okay. Let's go ahead and put you back into that position. Now you are going to use the same setup to perform eccentric loading. Okay, nothing's changing. It's the same base position, but a different training tool within the same base position. This is the base position we're in, right? So you did at length isometrics. Now what you're gonna do, and there takes a little bit of tinkering here with putting weight on this leg, is you're gonna start here in relative plantar flexion, right? You're not in dorsiflexion anymore. You're gonna start driving the big toe down, and you're gonna find tension on calf and Achilles. Now that you have tension, I feel there's tension. If you don't feel your calf and Achilles that much, hold the tension anyway. Without losing the tension, start driving the knee forward into dorsiflexion, but don't lose me here. So the whole time you're trying to push that big toe down, the Achilles and calf is going to length. You're driving dorsiflexion. We want to see the knee travel over the toe as close to the mirror as we can, and you're not losing that big toe pressure. Do you feel that calf and Achilles contracting as we go to a stretch? Not as much. So you don't feel that as much as the length tension we felt. The eccentrics are harder. So now do some kinetic stretching with these eccentrics. So keep the tension and come back. Now, part of it is learning to not lean into your quads so much. Some people will tell me they feel a lot of quad tension. That's not like wrong. I'm trying to get you to produce force from here, not produce tension from here. Now come forward. Think about driving your heel down as well. There's multiple points of emphasis here. Heel down, big toe down, foot pressure as we drive that knee forward. And we're just trying to find tension to length as opposed to at length. Kind of see what we're doing there? Yeah. And in theory, we are going for time under tension of just kinetic stretching, eccentrically loading, all of this tissue. You're pairing training tools. So you can come here and do static stretching, pails and rails at end range, do some kinetic stretching back and forth to put this at length. Make sense?
Yeah.
Now, in theory, the same thing can be done for the little toes. So let's put you on this side for a moment just to kind of keep the intensity flowing. For the little toes, we like coming at a bit of an angle here so that we can get that little toe online. Okay? For some clients, that's gonna be really hard to make happen.
Yeah.
You're just gonna do the best you can, plain and simple. Yeah, exactly. So from here, in principle, you can do the exact same thing. You drive that knee forward. You feel length, but in a different fashion. Length on the toes, length on the underside of the foot, but not the same way you felt the arch lengthening when we had the big toe up. You could spend time static stretching here. You can spend time doing isometrics here. Isometrics being driving down, right? In toe extension, and you're flexing the toes out of an extended position. You can also do eccentric loading here. Same principle. Eccentric load, so you're kind of kinetic stretching too, right? We have tension while going through range, eccentric loading now. So we have the toes turning white because there's downward pressure. All this stuff's going to length. Dorsiflexion's happening. Just trying to get underside foot stuff to kind of be able to lengthen better, a little bit more dexterity, right? Foot mobility contributes to ankle mobility a lot. So you'll see some clients will have arch and big toe related restriction. You'll see other clients have more little toe and metatarsal restriction, not as much arch restriction. I tend to just kind of pair them all together and do it as like a compound set where I would start in static stretching, then do the pails and rails, and then go straight into a set of eccentric loading like this. And it's like a 3-part series, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, it's easier on the time.
Yeah, it's a lot easier on time. It's a lot more efficient because that's part of training is it's an imperfect system, right? Like no one has the time to do every little thing to its full capacity. So this is our way of stringing together training tools that are all productive. They all make sense. Okay. All right, let's give you a moment. I want to give you 1 or 2 more drills.
All right.
Yeah, so from here, I do this on the turf without the mat, but this flooring is really hard. So we're gonna put your foot like this in this position. You can hold on to here if you want. And I want you using this base stretch, right, as a base position, to search and load what line of tissue you want lengthening on anterior foot. We just spend a lot of time on like posterior foot, underside foot, a lot of arch stuff, a lot of underside toe stuff. So from here, I can put bias towards like outer ankle lengthening. From here, I can put bias towards inner ankle and bridge lengthening. So for you, you may find one foot needs tension in one direction versus the other. When I'm on my other foot, it feels a lot different one way than going the other way.
Yeah.
So if you need to hold onto the table, hold onto the table. If not, cool. So from here, there's a bit of a skill to the stretching. So what I want you doing now is keeping that front side toe pressure, and think about trying to get this side of your foot more to the mat now. So drive forward. Yes. Do we feel this tissue going to length?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, so from here, I just do static stretching here. You could do like an isometric and try to like extend your foot out of the flex position. I don't really go about it that way. This is just one of those stretches I like doing as an extended iso, right? Like an extended static stretch. So again, from here though, I encourage you to play around with different positions like that, right? A little spicier. And then different positions like this. And again, all we're doing is looking for different lines of tissue on the front side of your foot, okay? And you can see how on your own time you can play around with how hard you're pushing into it. But I've had a lot of clients, they don't know like how to go about the stretch, and there's no force being applied. They kind of just lightly put their toe into the pad, and I will say, no, you need to like almost brute force it. So how do you brute force it? By giving them a little bit of feedback and saying, can you maintain that if I let go? And then I'm gonna let go, let go, let go. You see how you start shaking really when you start leaning into more stretch. So again, partner assist helps. Having tactile feedback there to say, run away from me, run away, run away. We're trying to pull the foot further to kind of further accentuate that stretch. Make sense? Yeah. Real simple one. This is like a very much like a yogi move, but I'm a fan, and I do it just during my warm-ups. I'll use it in between the other foot training as like a breather. I'll like be sipping on water, just stretching my foot like that. Yeah, I don't treat this like the other ones where there's isos and eccentrics and et cetera, et cetera. So we did a whole bunch of stuff about opening range. We did the big toe extension, little toe extension. Now we're gonna strengthen and reinforce range, control of it, right? It's a different quality than just opening space. So what I am going to do first is, we're actually not gonna use this right now, is load your big toes into some abduction. Okay. Big toe abduction's the other quality. So from here, go ahead and do what we started with. Big toe extension, big toe flexion. Okay. Exactly. Big toe extension, big toe flexion. Another thing that some people would do is they would widen your feet a little bit more. And I would say, do your best to not touch the yoga block. Just try not to. So now you're avoiding pronation of the foot, right? You're trying to maintain, so right now, entire foot. Yeah, so right now I'm trying to have you go out, like supinate your feet a little bit, so you have outer foot contact. Now that you have outer foot contact, maintain that contact, and begin giving me big toe extension flexion. Do you see how difficult that is to maintain pressure on the outside of your foot while, yes, and I should be able to pull the block out. If I couldn't pull the block out, that would tell me that you are over pronating and you're dumping to the inside of your foot too much. So now this is where we are kind of layering in the complexity of it, where you are learning to apply even foot pressure. Outer foot pressure, big toe pressure, heel pressure, that kind of tripod effect that everybody talks about. Just because you can push the big toe down doesn't mean it was of quality. Pushing the big toe down with the outer foot dumping up is kind of like fake mobility, just like everybody else fakes their mobility. You know, the body looks for the path of least resistance. I am cueing you to go into the path of most resistance by supinating the foot, maintain toe pressure from here, making it so that I can slide this out very easily, and then the big toe has to do everything from there. Okay? Yeah. Very difficult. What I want you to do now is a length bias calf raise to kind of put it all together. So what we are going to have you do is go straight into like this. I'm going to put a band around your ankles and a band around your toes. And we're just going to go for continuous tension calf raises with the mini bands kind of contorting your feet to alter how you're doing foot pressure. Okay? So elbows on there. Let me put this mini band around your ankles. Let's create tension from there. Let's create tension from here. Okay, so now from here, walk it back a little bit more if you can. Yep. Let your hips sink down a little bit. So now we have you in essentially max dorsiflexion. So from here now, go up into a calf raise and don't let the band pull your ankles inward, right? You're pulling them outward. So you see how we have the resistance bands pulling you into two different positions, two different ways, and that's forcing us to apply tension through the ball of your foot the most, the big toe. Come back to up again, or come down now, I suppose. Let's go into like a time under tension set, but don't go all the way up. Just do the bottom 50%. Yes, length focus. Right about there, back down. All the way down. Yep, halfway up. Right there, back down. Also think about applying pressure through your forefoot, not just your toes. So think about almost pushing down where my pen is. Yeah, push through that more, through here, yeah. So we're looking for forefoot pressure, not just toe pressure. We're promoting big toe abduction. We're promoting pronation of the foot with this red band, pulling the ankles inward. We got a lot going on here. A little bit different than a standard calf raise. You see how we're going for the intrinsics of the foot. I think that's the emphasis here. I would still want you to do seated calf raises, right? Still want you to do standing calf raises with the knee straight, with the knee bent. But the intrinsics of the foot, I think, is what we're trying to emphasize here.